Okay, hi everyone. Alright, so now when I was doing the interview and briefing with you guys, I actually mentioned to some of you that I'm going to introduce a kind of a new hack that I have developed along the way as I was painting some of these backgrounds now. What you see here is one of the backgrounds that I've painted for this production. It appears, I think, in scene 2. Scene 1, shot 2 is the longest panorama that we have. It pans for a very long time. It is almost 16,000 pixels wide. And as I was painting, I kind of wanted to move faster and faster, and I kind of unconsciously developed a kind of new step to make things a lot faster. Now, previously, what I have shown you guys, remember, was to kind of use your pen tool to construct the shape out and then fill that in, and then after that, go and do the outline and stuff. All right. In this method, what I'm going to show you is slightly different. I actually do the outline first. Okay. So if this method suits you, by all means, if the old one is still your preference, you can still keep to that. And I will again, of course, be talking about how I'm going to paint with colors from the environment using different modes of transparencies to kind of create different effects or textures or colorization of the environment around us and also even your objects. Yeah, so whatever I'm covering here, do know it's not just for natural environments. It could be on architecture, it could be on your props, yeah, depending on the lighting situation of that place. Now, okay, so let's pick now. What I'm going to do, I've just drafted a little tree here, which actually does not exist. I'm not going to put this in, but just for demonstration's sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the outline first. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the outline first. I'm going to just probably I'll make it brown tree the same color as this one, and on this layer, and I'm going to create the outline. Alright, so I'm going to create a very this is the sketch layer, sorry. So I'm going to create the outline. Alright, looking at the environment around, I'm going to create one that's roughly this thing. Oh, sorry, also I need to set this back to normal, make it full opacity, and then go, alright. And from here, I'm going to create some wiggly lines, and then I'm going to draw straight across and then come back down this side on this tree. Okay, let go a little bit and then continue because there's a branch there, and then go all the way down here and then come across and close it up. This is going to be behind the rock. Okay, and I'm going to bring up this branch, go up, and then go across, yeah, and then after that bring it down again, and we're done. Okay, so I've created the outer line of this tree. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down these lines to create some sort of, like those kind of bark texture. Okay, and create some wiggly lines as well from here. The ones outside is, you can see, thicker. The one inside is slightly thinner. And you can get away with being a little bit thinner just to create those textures. Little bit will do. You can of course use the dotted lines to create some accent. Oh, that's a bit too fine. No point. If it's too small, you want to see the nice little dots that Nick has created for this brush, and we're done. So the next thing we're going to use the magic wand, click outside of this outline that you have done. Okay, then what we're going to do is Control Shift I to invert and select the inside. Now you're going to select inside. You've selected inside by doing Control Shift I. Now this is the outline tree. Okay, so this is the tree's outline. I'm going to go on the bottom and create a new layer on the bottom, and I'm going to colorize it. Let's fill it with a color. Just color pictures from a tree nearby. Pick that up. Might be different species, so let's just change the color a bit. And alternate delete to fill it all up. Okay, now when you do that, do take note that Sometimes on the outer layer, you might find a little bit of a brown coming, seeping through. If that happens, what you do is you hold down Control, click on this, and you go to Select, Modify, Contract. By probably 1 pixel will do. That will eliminate the unsightly outlines. So you can see that what it has done. If I zoom in, all right, select, modify, contract by 1. It has gone in by 1 pixel. All right, and what you do next is you Control Shift I and delete. So you are cleaning up the outline. I think I did see some of it here on one of my. I might have still some of it here on one of my paintings, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's this a very unsightly kind of a fine thin line that appears and the edge. Yeah, it's still like over here. So what you can do is you can delete that just now, or you can kind of go around it and just erase it, because you don't really want those lines. Okay, so now I've done that and we're done. So what we are going to do next is colorize it. So this one is exactly like what I've shown you guys in the other tutorial for clouds and leaves. The first thing, well, because this is a base and there's no texture on it, so what I usually do is I'm just going to pick from the surrounding, which is mostly green. So I'm going to pick from here a kind of greenish color, and then I'm going to select this brush and choose multiply, okay, and lower the opacity down. Make sure that the alpha is locked for this tree. If it's not and you paint, it's gonna go right out of the you can see it's going out the tree, and you don't want that. Okay, so do lock the alpha. I do think it's slightly too green, so I'm gonna lower down the coloration to a bit of a gray, so that it's less saturated. Oh, and it's too harsh, the opacity. I usually like to lower the opacity of my brush and then slowly work on building up the shadow. And sometimes if you find there's too much texture going on, you can use the softer brush and just darken it. Now it's a little too dark, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the original color and lower the opacity some more and just go, normal, and go over it back to just return some of the original color. Alright, yeah, so again, I'm gonna select, now that I have a little bit of this dark brown color, I'm gonna select this and color the branch on this side to give it some texture. And I think we're done. Now you're asking like, wait a minute, the color of this brush has changed so much that the outline can't be seen anymore. You're right, but I'm not going to change that yet. I'm just gonna well, you can change it now. It'd probably be a good idea to change it now. What you can do is, there are two ways. You either can use your outline, lock the alpha, and colorize it a darker color. For example, like I pick this brown, just bring it down here and make it a darker color. Or you can take the outline, change the transparency to a multiply. So when that happens, you can actually see it will actually the outline will adapt to the changes that happen in the color base behind. Meaning to say, like for example, right now, let's make the outline a little bit of a lighter color. Now when you use multiply, you actually need to lighten the color. I'm going to bring it up and make it really light, and let's fill this outline now with that color. So I'm going to switch it back to normal. I'm going to fill it up, so it's now a nice yellow, but when you change it to multiply mode, it will become a lot darker. Yeah, you can see that. Now when I say it adapts to the back base, so this is the color base, I'm going to name this the color base layer. It will adapt to the color base layer. So when the color base layer is slightly darker, so let's just choose a darker color and paint down here, you'll notice that the outline will darken along with it, so it's more adaptive. Yeah, and let's say I'm going to make it lighter. here, you can see that the outline becomes lighter with it, because that's what multiply does. Yeah, the multiply mode of the outline. So I have used this quite often in painting this panorama scene. As you can see down here, the outline is changing, the darkness of the outline is changing with the surface of the color of the rock behind it. Okay, all right, so let's continue and finish this plan off. Now I'm going to just return some of this color back to the branch. And how I usually color highlights, like for example like here, I color pick from the background or the surrounding, and again overlay. Yeah, you can use overlay. If it's not coming through enough, then you use color dodge and see what you get. Yeah, in this case color dodge worked quite well. The other example where I used the clouds, painted the clouds, didn't work so well. Okay, so you can have some of this bounce light coming from the bottom of the forest floor. Then you can also pick some yellow, change some yellow, and kind of put it on some of these, because you know sun rays do kind of appear on the branch tree, seep through the canopy and actually falls on the branch, so you can have just a little bit of that. Don't overdo it, just a little bit will do. Okay, now finally I'm just going to add some accents like these. Yeah, these little accents that we have with this brush that we have, which was used to create the outline. So I will basically, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to change it back to normal, increase the opacity slightly, and pick from one of these highlighted areas and just go over very lightly to create that texture. Okay, just a little bit will do. Yeah, here, probably here, it captures some light from the top. In this case, this one here, it's green, so you pick that green and you go over these areas here. You can lighten the green if you want. Create that. Okay, so yeah. Alright, so we've done one tree. Okay, so this is one method I have used actually to actually paint a lot faster, to work the outline first and then fill the inside, instead of filling the inside and having your hand kind of go through the outline once again, which I think is very tiring, and your hand has to be really steady. So I think this method is a lot better, because it's kind of like how a child would paint, where you draw the outline first and then you paint the inside, right? So it's kind of going back to our roots, how we actually painted before. Alright, that will be all. Thank you very much.